we get a bill for $80,000 for one chemo treatment. And that was without insurance. Cancer is not a genetic disease. It's a lifestyle disease from your diet, from your stress, environment, all the chemicals that from processed foods, all the chemicals outside, like even like our water, things like that.
Yeah.
And what we found that Western medicine, all the doctors are trained to prescribe. And
it's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid. Even our first doctor, she was like, I need to make a quota for cancer treatments, for prescribing chemo.
She said that to you?
I'm like, you need to make a quota? I'm like,
wow.
Like,
you're listening to the Visibly Fit Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett. And every week, I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in.
Hello, friend. It's so good to be with you today. This is Wendie Pett, and you are listening to the Visibly Fit Podcast. So thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I have someone on the show that reached out to me, and at first I was like, who is this? And I did a little searching, and I'm like, oh, I need to have him on. He is so great. His name is DK Kang, and he is with us. He is a mindset-driven author. He's a martial artist, and he's a wellness advocate, and he's had over 30 years of martial arts experience and 18 years as a licensed massage therapist. But DK has dedicated his life to helping everyday people face extraordinary challenges with grit, gratitude, and grace. And it's kind of been just more of a recent transition. You're going to hear through his story and his wife's story, but what he's been through and how he's just kind of heeding to the call that God has on his life. But it's a great interview. And he has just been navigating through a decade filled with really profound challenges, including infertility, family loss, financial struggles, and you're going to hear about his wife's breast cancer diagnosis. And so DK discovered that mindset isn't just about motivation, it's a lifeline. His books include Mindset Metamorphosis and the Kimchi Connection Cookbook, and they draw from his lived experiences and offer tools and spiritual insights to help inspire lasting transformation. So DK alludes in the show that our struggles can lead us to our calling. And so I really felt like that resonated with the scripture verse. We all know it well. Most of us do anyway, but Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And so much of that has to do with belief and mindset. And so today, DK is going to share his journey. He's going to share about his wife's journey of resilience and really the importance of nurturing our health and mind, body, and spirit, and how he really wants to help others fight forward. So enjoy the show. Well, welcome to the Visibly Fit Podcast, DK Kang. It is a privilege to have you here. I'm so excited. I was reading your bio and getting to know you a little bit through that I'm like, oh my goodness, we could probably be here for hours talking. So I'm excited to have you. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I've actually listened to almost all your episodes, actually.
Is that right?
I know your audience is mainly women, but there's so much that you give value in your podcast that I just absolutely love.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I love that you are a plant-based athlete. Like that gets me pretty fired up. Yeah. And quite the athlete you are, from being a martial artist. And I'm not sure which form you practice. Is it Taekwondo or is it what? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Taekwondo. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And also Spartan races, ultra challenges. I mean, that's fantastic. I'm just so inspired, and I can't wait to hear how you got involved in that. But let's talk first about, just kind of how this kind of got started, your whole mission of being in this wellness and kind of being a wellness advocate. How did you get on course for that?
Yeah. So, I've been into wellness my entire life, pretty much. So I started Taekwondo when I was about 5. got my black belt at 7.
Wow.
And then I still continue to train to this day. But when I was about 12, I really started getting into my training in wellness. So kind of a backstory, my parents owned a restaurant. It was a Chinese Korean restaurant. So growing up in a restaurant, I would come home after school, be at my parents' restaurant. But because they owned a restaurant, I was always drinking a lot of soda as a kid. And so when I was about 12, I did an experiment on myself where I was like, because at that time I was running like 3 miles, 6, every day, and then jump rope an hour. Because for me, I was like just trying to get better. And so I did an experiment where I actually was thinking, I wonder what soda would do to my athletic performance. And so I drank soda, I ran 3 miles, I felt very thirsty, I felt very tired, I felt very sluggish while I was running that 3 miles. Then the next day I decided, well, let me not drink soda at all and run the same 3 miles. And I actually felt better. I felt more energy, and I felt like I could run another 3 miles. And so ever since then, at age 12, I'm like, I don't need soda. It really cuts down my athletic performance. And so I wanted to get better. Even from at age 12, I was kind of already thinking that. And this was like in the 90s. So, we didn't have the nutrition books that we have like nowadays. And
I know. I loved Dr. Pepper when I was young. It was terrible, right?
Yeah. So I started when I was really young. And then my wife, and I mean, this is years later now. So my wife and I has been dealing with infertility.
Wait, let me put a pause there just for a second, because this is a whole other topic that I do want to hear about. So did you grow up here in the States or Korea, or I don't know, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in a little small town in Missouri.
Okay.
And then I moved to Dallas, Texas about 2016.
Okay.
And I know you're originally from Texas area, right?
Yes, yeah. I grew up in Louisville.
Yeah. That's like 40 minutes for me. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, my family's still there, and I get there as much as possible. So awesome. I love that you're in Texas. Okay, so fast forward, you're kind of just already intuitive and understanding your body and how the standard American diet kind of protocol isn't fueling your body best. And so you're already starting to make these shifts, which is fantastic, as opposed to giving way to the addiction aspect that could have occurred. You're working out, you're kind of passing the time because your parents have this restaurant, you're there a lot, but you're just kind of in this zone of, I want to be better, do better. And you're studying Taekwondo, which is a lot of mindset, right? And so you're already in the place of understanding, I want to be better. So that's really good. You're getting that really ingrained in your life. But fast forward, you are still, athletic, you're paying attention to your physical health and well-being, and obviously probably your wife is too. But you get married, and then, you're talking about infertility. So let's go there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of in-between things.
You're right. I'm like, that's where you left off. So
my wife was dealing with, she ended up getting endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's a really bad disease. But we didn't know anything about like nutrition and how to reverse things. And so as time kind of passed, it just really got worse. And so, we saw multiple doctors and things like that. And they're just like, we don't know what's wrong with you. And, and then kind of fast forward about 2020, the height of COVID, my wife is in like really bad abdominal pain. And, this is COVID time. So we do a telehealth with her doctor. Doctor's like, oh, you have COVID. And I'm thinking, I don't think it's COVID. These aren't COVID symptoms.
Right.
And so this kind of happened like on a Friday or something like that. We called the doctor. They said Monday morning, take a swab, COVID test at one of the sites, things like that. And so we did that. Test came back negative. And like my wife is just in like serious pain. Where she couldn't even move. And I was thinking like, well, this is not COVID. We need to go to the ER right now. And so we went to the ER. As I'm dropping her off, because it's COVID and nobody knows what's going on, the nurse comes out with the wheelchair and she says, "Are you the husband?" I'm like, "Yes." And then she's like, "Oh, you need to leave because of COVID protocols. And I'm like, my wife is like really, really sick. And so they admit her, I go back home, and then it took like 3 doctors to figure out what was going on. She ended up having an abdominal abscess from the endometriosis, and that kind of spread into her intestines and just other areas. And so, we ended up having to do surgery, and then she ended up getting like it drained because of the abscess. And then, it was, now this is like, that kind of happened around, I would say April. And then they sent her home with draining everything. And then doctor's like, all right, because of the endometriosis, you need to have a hysterectomy done. And so this is like June now of 2020. And then, so she goes in to do the surgery. Her doctor was like, yeah, this is about an hour and a half surgery to do a full total hysterectomy. And then, as I was saying, it kind of went into the intestines, and then it went into her ureter, the tube that goes to the kidney and the bladder. Yeah. And so it ended up being like a 6 or 7 hour surgery. And then, so she was pretty much out for the count for that. That took a long time to recover. It was like 2 years to recover. And then kind of fast forward to 2023, she's seeing her GYN. And she says, like, I had this lump on my breast. And so her doctor's like, okay, definitely need to go get it checked out. And then, excuse me, by the end of 2023, like December, she had a biopsy done on her breast and got a diagnosis of January 2024 that it's HER2 positive breast cancer, and it's at stage 2. So it's rapidly growing. And so at this time, we're seeing different doctors, different oncologists, and we saw 2 that just didn't fit right there, because we asked them like, hey, like what is some of the nutrition that we can eat for cancer? And they're like, oh, you can just eat whatever you want to eat.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we're going to go to a different doctor. And so, because we're
red flag.
Yeah. At this time, we're also, reading different books about cancer, about nutrition, a book called Chris Beat Cancer.
Oh yeah. Chris Work.
Yeah. Chris Work is a great resource. We were reading that and about how nutrition plays a big role. And so we finally get a doctor, and all the other doctors are saying, yeah, we always over-treat and over-medicate our patients just so we can cover our ground. And we're thinking, well, can we do like half the treatments and still get the same results? And so finally we found a third doctor. They're like, yeah, we'll do that. And so, that's kind of how my journey kind of started with, I'll talk about a book, but so that was February of 2024. She's starting chemo, and then February 1st, I'm reading this book called The Breast Cancer Husband. And it's just about their husband, be there for your wife no matter what. And then as I'm finishing this book, it says, let your employer know about your wife and that you need a flexible work schedule to be there at her appointments. And so, I was really reluctant to tell my company about what was going on personally, but I was like, hey, this book said to do it. I'm going to go do it. So, for me, I'm a very action person. I like to take action. And so I'm like, all right, they told me to do it. I'm going to go do it. So February 1st, I tell my 3 managers, hey, like, what's going on? I need a flexible work schedule. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. And then a week later, they decided to lay me off. And so I was kind of taken aback. I was like, oh, but that same night though.
Did you contact the author? No, I'm just kidding. No, you did the right thing.
Yeah. But when I heard the news, when I got laid off, so that night I came back home, so faith is a big part of my life and my wife's life as well. Came home, my wife and I told her what's going on. Like, hey, I got laid off. And then, we prayed, but instead of me asking, why is this happening to us? Because at this point, my wife has already quit her job and she's starting chemo and things like that. And then I didn't ask, why is this happening to us? I asked, well, why not us, God? And then I started laughing because it almost felt like I was in this sitcom or this drama movie or something. And I was like, is this like for real? And I was just like, all right, God, like you're in control.
Show me the way.
Show me the way. But I also reframed it to maybe, asking them why not us, but maybe this is something that will help somebody else down the line, or maybe help with preventing cancer for someone that, is living a stressful lifestyle or living on the SAD diet, the standard American diet.
Right.
And so, that's kind of how my journey started. And, I wrote a book during my wife's cancer treatments because I didn't have a job for 10 months. And so I was like, well, I'm applying for jobs, but I got nothing but time, and spending time with my wife. And, in the cancer treatment, I'm like, this is going to take 4 or 5 hours to do the treatment. So I just opened my laptop and just started journaling, but started typing, because I got to the point where I'm like,
therapeutic.
I can't be the only one dealing with feeling stressed or overwhelmed or feeling stuck. And so I think the book was more therapeutic for me to kind of start writing it out. And it was more practicals to help me. I give practicals about, what a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset is, about exercise, about meditation, journaling. A lot of these things I talk about in the book, and how to starting small. And so, but I think it was a way for me to help myself. And if it helps somebody else out there, great. That'll be great. Awesome.
Think about David, and when the Lamentations are it was to help himself, like to journal and to write out and to cry out and to, and yet look how his words are helping us today, right? Because we're like, we're not alone in this. There's someone that's gone before us, and God was with him through it all. And so I love that, that you were just trying to help yourself through this process, and understanding that God would meet you there, but you also had a vision that your journey can help somebody else. And that is really it. Our stories can help somebody else. So that's beautiful. So tell us how your wife is today. Where is she at with her health?
Yeah. So she's completely cancer-free as of February of 2025. So it's a year-long treatment.
Yeah.
But she ended up getting cataracts because of all the steroids from the treatment.
Sure.
And so she got both eyes done. So she's still recovering from that. But I think for her, it's kind of what's the next step after cancer? Because, when you're going through cancer treatment, everyone's always cheering you on, like, oh yeah, you can do this. And then when cancer treatment's done and over with, everyone just is silent. So, she's kind of figuring out what that next step is and how to deal with like the anxiety, depression. And so, I think it's just, she's on her way, but it's still a process.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, praise God that she's cancer-free, and you're sharing about her story, but I'm just thinking about, I just kind of want to put a pin in that for just a second, because I think so often you're right. There's people that cheer you on. And then when that goes away, it feels like, okay, now where am I now? And I just kind of feel like I'm floundering, and where's the support, so to speak. Right. And not that we need that, but yet we do. We're called to be in community. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's, we just need to, and I will, commit to doing this, praying for your wife. What is your wife's name?
Florina.
Florina. I will pray for Florina, that a solid community comes forth and helps to just elevate her to her giftings and her talents that God has called her to. So she'll find it, and she'll feel it. So we know that God works it all out, right? But I just can only imagine how that might feel. All of a sudden you've got this support, and then all of a sudden you don't, or it's like, where is everybody? It's kind of like crickets, right?
And we have our church family.
Sure.
Everybody has a
their own thing going on.
Everybody's busy, and so we get it. So
yeah. But it is important to have some solid community that you can go to at any time for prayer request, or just to be lifted up when you're feeling down. And not that we want to rely on people, we want to rely on the
On God.
source, on
Yeah, of
God, right?
course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But again, we need people. We need each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing her victory story. And I love that she is cancer free. And yeah, you guys changed the way you were eating, right?
Yeah, we went to a whole food plant-based diet.
Right.
Chris Work talks about that. We read different books about, the rainbow diet and how our plate should be very colorful.
Yeah.
For me, I grew up on a Korean diet mainly. So it's a lot of fermented foods, a lot of vegetables.
Which is great.
Yeah. And so for me, I've always kind of been a plant-based. I mean, I ate lean meat growing up, like chicken breast, things like that. But I didn't really eat a whole lot of like fast food because, my parents owned a restaurant. And so everything was homemade.
They would
by
be
my
mortified
parents.
if you went through the drive-through.
Right. And so, I mean, I ate it once in a while, but I didn't eat it very often. And so definitely we felt a difference with a whole food plant-based diet. My wife's energy, she was recovering quicker in between like her chemo treatments. And, last week, she saw her surgeon and the surgeon was, came in and she's like, wow, you look amazing. And she's like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because you are the best looking patient that I've seen in a long time.
That's
and
awesome.
So, that spoke volumes for my wife because, we're doing all these things, we're reading about broccoli sprouts and how
I've got some growing in the windowsill right now.
Yeah. And so, there's 10 times more cancer fighting compounds in broccoli sprouts than broccoli. And then, we're like, all right, let's grow our own. Let's throw it in our smoothies. Let's throw it in our salads.
Yeah.
Just, throw it in there. And so, I mean, when you're reading about these things, I never knew about broccoli sprouts. I'm like, but it's like a normal thing for us now. And people come to our house or our apartment and are like, what is that? Like, why are you growing that? And, there's so much evidence on how it could fight cancer. And so, just thinking about like, going back to the Korean diet about kimchi.
You wrote a cookbook.
I wrote a cookbook. And there's so much benefits to, fermented foods that, it's just now starting to kind of talked about with the gut health.
The probiotics
health.
are, right. Yeah. I mean, and you grew up on kimchi.
Yeah, I grew up on kimchi, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so, I'll bring it to school sometimes. And growing up in Missouri, I got made fun of.
People are probably holding their nose.
Right. But,
I love it.
Yeah, I didn't know the benefits until, years later. But my parents always was like, you got to eat kimchi. And I'm like, okay, I love kimchi, so I'll eat it. And so then I learned how to make it from my mom. And then, I came back to Texas and I would bring it to work and people would ask me like, hey, what is that? And so, I was just like, hey, it's kimchi. And then they're like, can I try some? And I was like, yeah. And then they liked it. And then they ended up wanting to buy a jar for me. And I'm like, I'm not really selling it, but okay, sure. But then it kind of came about of like, well, what do I do with kimchi now? And I'm like, just start adding it into your own dishes, whatever, if you like tacos or something, start adding it into tacos. And so that's kind of how the book kind of came about.
Yeah. And it's the Kimchi Connection, is right? Kimchi Connection.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And real quick, for those that don't know what kimchi is, can you explain it's cabbage and the spice? Can you explain what all goes into kimchi?
Yeah.
And it's quite a process to make.
Yeah, it is a pretty big process. So it could be any vegetable really. But mainly it's Napa cabbage, and then it's salted and then it's washed off. So it kind of wilts, and then you start adding different spices like garlic, ginger, Korean red peppers, and whatever else you want to add in. I've heard someone use turmeric, so to bring down inflammation. But then once you add all the seasoning, you jar it and you pressurize it, and then it starts to ferment, where it's like breaking down the sugars, it's breaking down different molecules, minerals, and then at the end of it, it's producing something that's very powerful with the good bacteria, the probiotics. And so, I mean, you can always take which I don't like is, those probiotic pills that you can, the capsules or whatever.
Yeah, any way you can do the whole form fashion, or whole food fashion, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Because kimchi, it aids in digestion. It helps boost your immune system. It's high levels of vitamin K and C. Like it's just so great.
And you get the fiber with it.
And you get the fiber. Exactly.
Instead of like a manufactured pill. So.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's so good. So that cookbook has done really well, right?
Actually, none of my books has done really well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's honest.
Yeah.
Well, we just need to get the word out, DK. That's the deal. And that's why you're on this podcast.
That's what I'm trying to do. But I'm also just on a mission to where if you can prevent like autoimmune diseases, cancer, to kind of give you like a background. So there was a point where I was laid off, from my job. My wife didn't have work either. My wife started chemo. And as she's starting chemo, her first treatment, we get a bill for $80,000 for one chemo treatment. And that was without insurance. Wow. And so if you can prevent these diseases, autoimmune diseases, obesity, cancer, I was reading a statistic on cancer that it's 1 in 4 people will get cancer. Yeah. And I think that number is actually higher now. I think it's like 1 in 3. And so,
and people don't realize they have more control over it than they realize. It's time to step up and take ownership of your health.
Exactly. And cancer is not a genetic disease no more. It's it's 5% that's actually like passed down genetically.
Yeah.
The rest, it's a lifestyle.
Diet.
It's a lifestyle disease from your diet, from your stress, environment, all the chemicals from processed foods, all the chemicals outside, like even like our water, things like that. Yeah. And so for me, I want to get people educated, informed. It's better to prevent cancer or all these diseases. And what we found that Western medicine is everybody's like, all the doctors are trained to prescribe. And
it's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid. But I mean, even our first doctor she was like, like I need to make a quota for cancer treatments, for prescribing chemo.
She said that to you?
I'm like, you need to make a quota? I'm like,
wow.
Like,
so that would make you run from that.
Yeah. So that's all they do. And same thing, if we go to the doctor, here's my symptoms. Oh, here's a pill for that. But then you have, this pill's going to have, diarrhea and blah, blah, blah.
The side effects.
Yeah. All the side effects. And I'm just like, well, why can't we just start preventing that? Yeah. And start exercising. Well, we can,
but that leads me to this. It's mindset, right?
Yes.
Like it's a mental and spiritual component. Like we need to get those two connected and on the right path so that you start to, do things like fueling your body, the temple that houses the Holy Spirit, and moving your body, and see it as an act of worship, not worshiping the body, but worshiping the one that created it. So let's talk a little bit about that, because you wrote this book, Mindset Metamorphosis, and it's really the mind. And you, as a martial artist for 30-odd years, you get that. And so let's talk about just the components of this book and why you're passionate about the mindset.
Yeah, I'm passionate about the mindset. I mean, it's been part of my life, like my entire life. Just kind of thinking about, so I did a Spartan 50K Ultra, right? So I don't know if you're familiar with the Spartan race.
I am, yes. I've never done one, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, they're a lot of fun. I mean, there's small ones like a 5K and 10K, things like that.
Sure.
And I've done all those too, but the 50K, kind of going back to the mind, everything starts in the mind. And when I'm doing this race, it took me like 12 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. But at the same time, things happened. Like I dropped a boulder on my toe. I tore my hands. My hands are all bloody because I lost my gloves. My tracker got snagged on one of the obstacles. So I was already half a mile down. And then I noticed my tracker was gone. I was like, I got to run back half a mile to go pick it back up.
Oh my goodness.
I had a nosebleed.
At least you found it.
Yeah. I had a nosebleed. I ate way too many Cliff Bars. So I had digestive issues. when you're doing an event, you don't change what you've already been doing. And I decided to watch this YouTube video, and he's like, yeah, eat at least 150 to 200 calories every hour. And I'm like, what has 150 calories? I'm like, a Cliff Bar. Like, I didn't train.
Not the proper calories.
Right. I didn't train to be eating Cliff Bars every hour. So,
right.
I had a bunch of things going on. But as I'm doing this race and like on the second loop, so you do a 25K with 30 obstacles once, then you go back out and do the same 25K, 30 obstacles.
Amazing.
But as I'm passing people are saying, this race is too hard. I can't finish this. Where's the finish line? I'm too tired. As I'm passing people are saying this out loud. But for me, like, I did not want to listen to them. I kept saying to my head, keep moving forward. I can, and I will finish this race.
Yeah.
But so the 50K Ultra is about a 50% fail rate. So about 625 people went in. And this is what the announcer first said. He's like, there's about 600 of you guys. About half of you guys are going to fail. He said that from the get-go.
Well, that's already setting it up there.
Yeah. And so all these people were already saying,
am I one of the ones that's going to fail? Yeah.
Or they were saying, this race is too hard. I will never finish this. And guess what? They didn't finish. So your mind, what you think, what you believe, it's like almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you start saying those things, whether
100%.
it be, I'm not good enough. So many of us are watching the news or scrolling through social media, and we're comparing our life to somebody else. And we're like, oh, I will never have XYZ or never have that life. Well,
and you're right.
You're right. Of course, you're going to make that happen. Well, you're never going to have that or never have that life. All these negative thoughts come in. Oh, I'm not good enough. Yeah. You'll never be good enough if you keep thinking that.
Yeah.
And so
my
the
life
mind,
verse is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Right.
And so all is all, even a Spartan race, right? All.
Yeah. But there's also the scripture that says, run the race as if you're going to win the prize.
Exactly.
We're all on a race. We're all on this marathon of life. And it's what we think, even the Bible talks about in Romans, to do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed of the renewing of your mind.
Exactly.
And so for me, I had to renew my mind during that race. I had to renew my mind during my wife's cancer treatments. I had to renew my mind when I lost my job and I see a bill for $80,000.
Yeah, it's a daily renewing of the mind.
It is, right? It is.
Yeah.
And so, I talk about habits in my book, building small. I talk about, meditation, because we live in a world where everything is so fast paced. When's the last time, the Bible talks about be still and know that I'm God. Like, how often are we still? Right? And so,
yeah. Well, let's talk about that for just a minute, because I would like to talk about a few of your habits in your book, Mindset Metamorphosis, because I think people just get into this rut of always going and feeling like they have to keep doing, or they're not ever going to be good enough. Or like you said, they're comparing themselves to others. And at that, their parasympathetic nervous system is just shot. Their adrenals are shot. They're just, they're taxed. So let's talk about the prayer meditation piece and how important that is, and how you actually go about doing that meditation, and what does your stillness look like? And are you, like for me, I guess I just get laid out on the floor, and I'm just like in that state, right? Like, just, Lord, your servant's listening, right? Kind of a thing. But how do you go about your meditation?
So it could be different. I learned meditation through martial arts, but for one thing I do is my morning routine. I read the Bible every day, just some quiet time with me and God. But also there's just times where I could be standing and just breathing in through my nose and out my mouth outside, and just to hear like the nature, to smell the grass, smell like the trees. And, there's no...
To be present.
Yeah, to be present. There's no right or wrong way to meditate. And I talk about that in the book. You could do it lying down, seated, standing, or even during a walk. Just kind of be thinking about your surroundings, and that, looking at the sky and being grateful for that. And, but also meditation, even while you're eating, like mindful eating, like I said, we're in this fast paced world. When's the last time where we don't pick up our phone while we're eating or checking emails or watching TV. We're just solely sitting down and eating our food.
Yeah. And thinking about where your food came from, right?
Right. Yeah.
And whose hands,
Yeah.
harvest the food. And
Yeah.
it changes the way it goes down, and it changes
Right.
the way that our cells receive the nutrients as well when we have that gratitude and that experience. So that's super cool. Well, what are some of the other kind of habits that you have in your book that you'd like to share a little bit? Just a glimmer, because we want people to go and get your book, but just a couple more habits that are like a non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable for me is, movement.
Yeah.
I believe movement is very key. Also breath work is something that, I've learned that in martial arts as well. Because, breathing, it's something that you do automatically, but it's something you can also control. And when you can control it, you can get more oxygen to your bloodstream, to your limbs, to the brain. I talk about something called habit stacking. So I'm going to give you an example. Like if you're old school and you still make coffee with the filter and, grind it and things like that, and it takes 2 minutes to brew your coffee, right? Well, and you have an end goal of, I want to get in better shape, or I want to lose weight, or I want to get stronger. I don't know, fill in the blank, whatever. Well, instead of scrolling on your phone for 2 minutes while your coffee's brewing, knock out some push-ups.
You sound like me. I love it. Habit stacking is the ticket.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you only do one push-up during that 2-minute time frame, well, how many push-ups can you do every single day for an entire year if you drink coffee every day? I mean, that's 365 push-ups. It's definitely better than zero, right?
I love it. And you're absolutely right. But I would say that probably the average person listening to you and I right now would say, well, it's just one. Like, what's that going to do? So let's talk about that, because you as a martial artist know what just one can do. And so maybe just kind of peel back the layers on that and just talk about maybe the compounding interest of what just one push-up or one squat or whatever that they insert into that habit stacking program, what that can do for their life. One scripture a day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a saying that says, walk 1,000 miles, it starts with one step. Sure. And so, I mean, it's one step, but if you look at it in the bigger picture, it like you said, it does compound. Yeah. And, something like my instructor always said to me, and, at this point, I'm like already a black belt or whatever. My instructor always says, every time you walk in the door, you are a white belt. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, can't you see I'm a black belt? But he's talking about the mind. And he was saying, always be willing to learn.
Let the ego go.
Let the ego go. Let the pride go. And be willing to learn no matter what stage in life or whatever black belt you are. But to have that mentality. And same thing for a white belt. They're learning a new kick or a new punch or whatever. It's something new to them. They do it one time. Okay, they did it once. But they come back tomorrow. They do it again one time. They come back tomorrow. The next day, they do it one time, or it'd probably be like 5 times now. But before that, they're like, oh, wow, I've actually done this punch or kick 100 times in 30 days. Now I'm proficient at it. But at the same time, that's like, I'm still going to continue to learn it and push through. I mean, for me,
make it better and make it perfect it and master it. Yeah.
And, celebrate those wins.
That's good. That's important too. And I do think, we have such a mindset of, I want it now. I want to see results now. This instant gratification kind of thing. What would you say to that person? Because it's not reality, right? But what would you say to that person that's like, well, I want this done, and so therefore I'm just not going to do it at all because I can't have it like that. I would say that, I want to hear what you say. I know what I would say.
Well, if you think about it, Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't.
The world wasn't built in a day.
Right.
God created the world in 6 days. So if God didn't create everything in a day, why are we trying to get everything done like right now? And so, it takes patience. You got to be patient with yourself. there's that grace that you got to have for yourself. And so, I mean, I also use another metaphor. I call it the kimchi mindset. And it's like you said, kimchi is a process, right?
Yeah.
If I'm making a batch, it usually takes me about 12 to 14 hours that entire day. But as I'm letting it sit on the counter, it's being pressurized. It's breaking down the kimchi or the cabbage, and it's literally fermenting. That's kind of like with life, right? Sometimes there's things that are pressurizing us.
You can't quite see. Yeah.
We can't quite see. We don't know what's going on. But then the outcome is we're being transformed, or like kimchi, it's becoming a fermented food with probiotics, but it doesn't happen overnight. And the same thing with life. You can't just kill cancer overnight. I don't recommend just going full, changing your diet. I mean, we had to because it was a life and death situation, but, starting small, adding those, whatever.
Say put a plant on every plate, right? Just start somewhere.
Yeah. Just start somewhere. If you're trying to add more steps into your walking, just put your shoes on first. That's a win. Celebrate it. Take off your shoes. Tomorrow, put on your shoes, walk to the mailbox. That's 2 wins,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's good. That's good. I do think that most people are just so caught up in comparing themselves, and it has to do with social media a lot, that they can't see their wins when yet they're winning each and every day if they would just keep taking action. So I love that you say that. It's getting back to just the simplicities of things, and really just giving yourself an atta girl or atta boy, pat on the back and saying, you know what, you are doing great things. Just keep on keeping on, and then you're going to see the results. So I love that. This book, Mindset Metamorphosis. I mean, when I think of metamorphosis, I always kind of think of like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and how they're just this beautiful transformation. And I think that that's what we're all kind of turning into in this lifetime, so to speak, as far as like, being transformed, or hopefully we are. If we're not, we need to stop and ask ourselves some questions and how we can get on that track to actually transform. But we won't fully be that butterfly, so to speak, until the day we die, right? Like we're going to be constantly transforming, but it takes action, and it takes grace, takes love, takes all these different things. But I think so many people are just all about the works of doing it, as opposed to just the resting in it as well. So let's talk about the resting and acknowledging, like we were just talking about with these wins, how important that really is.
Yeah. I mean, talking about rest, right? I talk about sleep in my book as well, about shut down electronics an hour before you go to bed and make it, a daily habit, because electronics, there's blue light. It makes us think that the sun is out, so it keeps us awake. And so if we could shut that down, rest is so important. We're going to spend a third of our life sleeping. So, and when we don't have enough sleep, enough rest, our brain, we just have a lot of brain fog. We can't think straight. It's like,
your hormones aren't regulated. Yeah.
But it's like, when we do a time change.
Yeah.
There's more accidents when we do the time change the day after we do the time change.
And
heart attacks, because an hour difference it's a huge difference. It really does.
That's a good point.
If you could start regulating your sleep, that rest point, it's going to be so beneficial to you. Instead of staying up till 11, 12 o'clock at night, start winding down at 8 p.m. So then you're ready for the next day.
Yeah, I get excited to be in bed by 9:30. Sometimes 9. I'm like, I can't wait. It's my bedtime.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
But that's when our body repairs and heals and gets restored. And I think, artificial lighting and like you said, the screens have robbed people of really of their wellness possibilities. And that's through, sleeping and getting that they need. So very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Visibly Fit podcast. You are a dear, and I know people can go and get your book at dkkang.com, right? Is that correct?
That's my website.
I think so.
My book is actually on Amazon.
It's on Amazon too. Right. So you can get it there. Okay.
Yeah.
So look for Mindset Metamorphosis. I will actually put the link in the show notes as well to make it easy for everybody. But really appreciate your insight and for coming on the podcast today. As we close, I don't say always, but every now and then I like to ask people kind of just a personal question, like, what do you like to do for fun? Maybe you and your wife. Is there something that's unique that you guys like to do as a couple, or maybe it's you individually over and beyond, kind of your fitness and kind of that kind of path? Is there something do you play a musical instrument? I don't know. Is there something unique that we would love to know about you?
Something unique. So I guess my wife and I, we like to watch Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Just because we like to see the sheer athleticism and what it takes to do like dancing and to be on rhythm and step. But I also like watching documentaries. So a couple of documentaries, I think you've mentioned this one, The Game Changers.
Yes, one of my favorites.
It's about a plant-based athlete and their performance. And another one is called Live to 100.
I have not seen that one.
So Live to 100 is these people that live in blue zones.
Oh, okay. So is it Dan Buettner?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, Live to 100 is basically these people that live to 100 consecutively based on their diet. And there's only six cities in the world that are living to 100 consecutively. Right. And so, like there's one in California. It's a blue zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so I like watching documentaries, like things like that. And I like reading books. I like to continue to learn.
Good.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we should always be a white belt when we walk in the room. Every day, be a white belt when we come, when we are, reading God's word or whatever, be a white belt. I love that. Like that's the best message ever. And then we can just learn and grow and let go of that ego. So, all right. Well, God bless you, friend. It was lovely to get to know you. And again, those of you that are listening, go to the show notes to get DK's book, Mindset Metamorphosis. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. God bless.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed the interview with DK Kang and that you go and get his book, Mindset Metamorphosis. Again, the link is in the show notes. And share this episode if you know it will bless somebody else. And I hope that you're asking yourself kind of the questions. Gosh, do I have a fixed mindset or do I have a growth mindset? Because we need to all be in that growth mindset way of being, right? Like we are all white belts every day, as far as whatever we are focused on, we haven't got it all figured out. I've learned that the older I get, the more mature in years I get, the less I know. And so I want to continue to be surrendered and not have my ego kind of step in the way. And I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to become better. And so I hope you do too. So again, go and get his book, Mindset Metamorphosis. Link is in the show notes. And if you are in a place of, I've got a growth mindset and I am ready to get healed, I'm ready to get whole and complete and get into a different way with my physical health and my mindset and my spiritual health, and you want to get into my program, now's your time. Go to getvisiblyfit.com and that will give you all the details there. And if you have questions, just email me. But I look forward to holding your hand and walking you through the process because you can, you will, and I believe in you. So let's do it. Go to getvisiblyfit.com. And thank you again for tuning in. We will catch you same time, same place next week.
Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.